Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles. I'm delighted to be joined by our friend from the amazing February program we had. We are live right now from Los Angeles all the way to Nairobi, Kenya. It's so amazing. So please welcome Arnold Mwanjila with his movie Talia. But for those that haven't seen it, let's take a look at a clip.
Najua nilikuwa nadhani ni ndoto, lakini ni kweli kabisa, uko hapa. Unaniogopa? Usiniogope.
Arnold, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Danny?
I'm good. I'm correcting that you're in Nairobi right now. Did you go?
Yes.
You move? You are.
Yes,
oh,
I am in Nairobi.
Goodness.
I am in Nairobi. Yeah, it's 9 o'clock right now. Yeah,
it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I can't wait until we can have a nice drink together in Nairobi or Los Angeles. We'll make it happen.
Oh man,
soon,
let's get the vaccines in. Let's get the vaccines in.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Listen, Arnold, I can't tell you, like I told you in our green room, I said I'm still reeling from your great energy, and I would love to experience being on one of your sets because you have such a wonderful energy. And you just gave us this delightful film, and I just thought what an undertaking it is to make a feature film, and I can't wait to talk to you about it. But for those that haven't seen your magical masterpiece, Talia, tell us a brief synopsis of the film.
Well, Talia takes place in an idyllic fishing village off the coast of Kenya. So somewhere close to Mombasa or Kwale, for those of you who know the geographic region. It basically is about a fisherman, very ambitious guy, who finds and ensnares a mermaid-like water spirit in his nets. And he tries to get his 3, 4, 5 wishes, whatever it is that he's heard in the stories before. But obviously that isn't working out because, magic is one of those fickle, tricky things. We don't really know the rules. And so what he does decide to do is exploit that as a grand, magical, theatrical exhibit. So come one and all, come see The Mermaid. It's a real live thing, come and see it. So that's the basic story in a nutshell. Obviously there's other elements at play. There's, the church that wants him to stop. There's the chief's son who's all about, war and whatnot, and kind of wants to exploit the mermaid for his own purposes. And she just wants to go home. That's it. So she has to plan and figure out her way to go home. And that's basically the story in a nutshell. Yeah.
It's brilliant. I mean, honestly, I felt like there was like it was like I was watching like a live theatrical piece as well. It could be a live theater piece. It could be a film. It could be an art installation. Like there were so many great artistic elements that you had in the film that I enjoyed so much. And I love this world that you created for us. Like it really was wonderful to watch. Listen, I mean, I already knew when I watched this film, I was like, this guy has got the amazing imagination. Tell us a little bit about where the story was inspired by.
All right, so I'm glad you mentioned there's the theatrical aspect and all these other art aspects. One of the main things I think, even before we get into the inspiration, because the inspiration is a bit all over the place, like most inspiration, you gather this and that from everywhere. But there was an idea of converting oral traditional narrative structure into film. Mm-hmm. And I think that was one of the driving forces. There's 2 stories that actually take place in the movie that run parallel. There's the mythical story that we hear from Mama Pendo, who's talking to Babu's child, who she takes care of. Babu is our main character. And we've got also Chiriku, who's the guy Babu gets to sell his story. He's the village storyteller. He goes off on stages and he tells his grand stories, and he's employed by Babu. So we've got a tradition of oral storytelling that is both theatrical and musical as well. I wasn't able to really get into the musical part of it in the movie, but that's the idea, that we have these In West Africa, it's griots. In Kenya and Eastern Africa, it's more of just you sit around a fire and your grandma or somebody tells you the story. But there was structures of village storytellers. So that was part of what I was trying to do. Is trying to figure out how do I translate these art forms that do predate film into something more filmic. I'm not going to say I've succeeded really. I do think we made a really good attempt as a film collective, but there's still more to improve. As for the inspiration, well, we grow up in Kenya with all these stories of just magical creatures and whatnot. We've got stories of a guy who angered some lady and she turns out to be this goddess and she strikes him down, or this guy gets forest girl finds a girl in the forest and he's given advice never take her back to the forest, but he does, and she turns into a beast, or there's just all these various stories, and some are more stories that have even been codified into literature. But a lot of the ones we know of, are just like curiosities. It's, this guy is driving along, picks up a lady, he's a taxi driver, picks up a lady, she's in the back of the car, looks down, sees hoofs, and it's this weird existence where there's the real and just there's a thin veil between the real and the supernatural. So there's a lot of that type of superstition that happens. And my mom, I love her to bits. She's just one of those who really believe in some of these things.
I love it.
She's and it's also a very strange thing because she's a staunch Christian, right? So it's God, Jesus, whatnot, all those stories. But at the same time, it's like she's syncretized all these other traditions that she's grown up with into her Christianity. So these are evil spirits or these are whatnot. And it was me trying to challenge that type of story, because when I came, I studied in New York for film and economics. But when I came back, one of the first places I went to was back home in Malindi. She lives off the coast. And I was just hanging out with them, and she tells me that she ran a shop and she has this pile of money that she keeps putting aside. This pile of money was money that she's received from somebody she believes is a jinn. And so she doesn't want to touch it or use it. Yeah, she doesn't want to use it at all because she's like, this is evil. I'm like, come on, Ma, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So we have this argument, and she wins just because the lady passes by at some point later during my stay there, and she was affecting in a way. She's in Swahili, which is also, who are predominantly Muslim, so she had a hijab, and all I could see were the eyes, but the eyes were striking. And she had this train of perfume that follows her everywhere, and it was intoxicating. So I feel like I want to not believe my mom, but the lady herself is making a strong case that she might be a jinn just because of how she's affecting me. And that was kind of the birth of some of these ideas. I know. I'm sorry.
Love that. This is great. This is great.
I can tell stories. I can tell these stories forever. But that's basically the basic genesis. I had done a short. I wanted to write a short film that was basically that story and make it animation. But just as I kept evolving and kept thinking and kept just having these stories evolving in my mind, and just being back home in Kenya, and politics and church and whatnot, like so many different things just kept infusing themselves into the story until eventually this was birthed.
It's a credit. I mean, it's a credit to you, Arnold, because honestly, it must have been fascinating growing up in Kenya and hearing all these incredible stories. What a child's dream to let your imagination just run wild by these stories told by your loved ones. Like, I love it. Like, it's so powerful. And no, I mean, it's a credit to you, because your film could be in so many different facets, in animation, in live theater, in art installations. Like, I kept thinking to myself, like, wow, there's so many ways which we could take your story and just, explore with it through different artistic realms. And it's brilliant when you've got a story that strong that you've done and you've created. So you did, Arnold, you did very good, honestly.
Thank you very much.
What was really great, and I think one thing certainly we got to appreciate, I think, as well, here at New Filmmakers LA, is just, you know, the fantastic, obviously, location that you filmed this. But my goodness, you had some of like brilliant actors who just were just wild with their imagination and took you to places and made you feel so much. And it was a magical experience. And they really took your story and we just evolved with them and what they were going for. And I loved it. Tell us a bit about your cast, because I honestly thought there was just some great comedic performances, great strong performances. Oh my goodness, Talia, like I can't even. And you know, the little ones, oh, tell us.
I tell people that I think I got very lucky with this particular feature, because I think I got the strongest actors that are currently practicing in Kenya. I really do. And that's just I don't know where. Again, this is like, we were speaking earlier about how magical film is, and I think this is just one of those aspects, because you write something that is in your head for so long. Because I think I worked on this story, forget about the script, just a story, for probably 5-6 years. Just, you know, it's in the back of your mind as you do all these other projects and work on building your craft. But I did that, and then I wrote that. So I lived with these characters for a very long time, and I'd envisioned them in one way or another. But these guys just came in for the auditions, and they were just it, you know. It wasn't like a big casting call. I spoke to my casting directors and my producer, and we kind of like figured out which talents we want to approach with this material. And so it was a closed audition, and some of them came in, and I was just blown away by the ones we selected. And I'm glad they wanted to do this project too, because they say they were blown away by the script, so that also helped. But I think they're just marvelous talent. I don't know what more I could say. I wish they were here with me to just like talk more about what they do, because what they do is magical. There's only so much direction I can give. You have to take that direction and you have to just run with it. I know personally I'm a terrible actor because I always feel acting is such vulnerability.
Yeah.
I think I can explore my own vulnerabilities in the writing and the directing, but I can't do that personally. I can't do it with my face. I can't do it with my body. I can pretend to do it, and you might think I'm a relatively okay actor, but to truly act, I think it comes from way deep inside. I don't know what well you pull that type of performance from, but
well, you directed it very well, and you know the script was there, which is great. I mean, if you've got a great script and you can you know work with your actors, I mean, it worked. I mean, it was like it's like some sort of like Shakespearean The Tempest or Pan's Labyrinth combined, you know, with this. You know, I mean, it really was. You know, so
you were like mentioning the things that I was thinking and reading and rereading and rewatching as I was working on this. For sure, I was definitely thinking Shakespeare, and in terms of language and how that works, and it's not really there, in, you know, because it's Swahili and what it's. But I know Tempest for sure was a big influence, and I watched.
Oh, it was. It was. Oh my God, it's one of my favorite. It was. I didn't realize that was too. Wow.
Yeah. So, and then Pan's Labyrinth is. So Pan's Labyrinth is my sorry, Guillermo del Toro, but Pan's Labyrinth is my movie. Like I own it now. Like it belongs to me. It doesn't belong to him. It belongs to me as an audience. Like all good movies should. But like it came out in 2006, which is just when I was fully deciding to be a filmmaker. So I knew I was going to write. I knew I was going to tell stories. I didn't think I was going to do film. Film wasn't really on my radar. I did watch a lot of film, and I watched a lot of TV. Like I think I internalized a lot of that early on in my life. And I do have a friend who when I told him that I am a filmmaker now from high school, he was like, of course that makes sense, because you used to narrate to us the films you've watched from beginning to end. And I know I used to make sure I keep the structure of the storytelling, because I want them to be surprised the way I was surprised when I watched it. I want them to be amazed the way I was amazed when I watched. So I think I learned even film language and film structure just from me telling the story back. So I learned film through oral storytelling, which brings it back to Talia, which is just, I think, which is why I'm grateful. This is actually my first project as well. But
I can't believe that. I still can't believe
that. So I mean, this friend of mine complained one day. He was like, he was watching, he didn't tell me which movie, but he was watching a movie and he's like, have I watched this movie? I think I've watched this. I'm not too sure. It feels so familiar. And turns out it's a movie I've narrated to him. He hasn't watched it, but he remembers it because I told him the story.
See, no, Arnold, listen, this is what I'm saying. You're an amazing storyteller, like, honestly. And I mean, I'm sitting here, I've forgotten when I interview because I'm just listening to your stories. And that is a really great sign. And I'm just, listen, I mean, I'm so happy that this was just such a beautiful, folk story, traditional story, from, the beautiful country of Kenya. I love that we all got to experience this at NewFilmmakers LA, because people were just lost in this world that he created. And, I know obviously, growing up and hearing stories, and then, moving to New York and studying there, like, now obviously you're on a run of doing really a lot of amazing things. Like, what drives you in storytelling now? What is your drive? What inspires you? What makes you excited to go and make your next project?
Now, these are questions I love, because these are not really questions I've thought about as much. I mean, I have, but I love thinking about things like this, because now I have to think properly and truly analyze in myself. What drives me in storytelling today? Wow.
Only because you're such a great storyteller. I'm already waiting for your next project. So, just saying.
I think it's that sense of wonder, right? I did actually finish my story about Pan's Labyrinth. So it was one of the first few movies I watched, right? While I was making that transition in college into film, because I took a film class and I was like, yeah, I'll just take a film class for electives. And then I transitioned into that. And the other movie I also watched was, and this is answering your question, I promise. I know it sounds like it's just another story. Good. But the other movie I watched was, what's it called? Two magicians fighting, The Prestige.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was the other movie I watched at that time. And it's the line that Hugh Jackman gives at the very end of the movie, where Christian Bale's character asks his character, you did all this for nothing, and he goes, not nothing. Don't you know why we do this? It's for the look on their faces, right? And that really stuck with me, and I think that's what motivates me. It's a sense of wonder. It's a sense of, because I grew up reading and watching and just stories, and they transport you. Truly, they take you all over the world. They take you out of this world. They take you into, I mean, well, what would we do without story? I don't know.
What would we do? I mean, honestly, no, I love that. And we don't hear that very often, because at the end of the day, an artist is, can't get driven unless they've got an audience that are going to react to the piece of art they've created. So, and how important that validation is when someone is just lost in something you created. So, oh, I love that. Oh, go and inspire your day with that one, everybody. That's amazing. Well, I mean, listen, I want to talk to you for absolutely hours, because I love
I know you're on a schedule.
I know it's horrible. I'm like, I know, listen, I've been looking forward to speaking with you. But I want to just, what is, so I'll lead this on to say, what is the next story that you're going to be gifting us with, Arnold? What is next?
All right, what is next? There's a couple of projects in the fire, but what I want to be next, not necessarily what might end up being next, because the business is fickle. What I want next is a sci-fi story, a time travel piece set in Rwanda during the genocide. That's as much as I think I want to say, because the story itself, I feel like, is a very personal story in a way, and I want to get it right before I put it out in the world. So, yeah, but I can't
wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. I love where you take us, and I love the depth of your thinking and imagination. And we need you. We need you in this industry to entertain us, but help us learn, discover, appreciate, you know, support. And this is really great. And I just want to say, what has it been like? I mean, I know it's been tough right now in this virtual experience, but you know, the power of content, people need great stories. What's it been like having your film, obviously with us at New Filmmakers LA and other film festivals? What's that experience been like to share Talia?
I mean, I don't have a comparison with the before because this is my first feature. But I'll be honest and just say this is I'm blessed, you know, like this is I'm having the time of my life. This is fascinating. It's amazing. I'm meeting people like you. I love talking film, and I feel like I bore everyone around me when I just talk film and story and film and story. But with like-minded people,
no, just give me a call, Arnold. Give me a call. I want to hear it, okay?
So yeah, so I mean, I'm enjoying meeting people and just talking and telling stories and sharing stories, because that's I think that's what it's all about. It's we tell stories and make movies to tell stories, to connect with other people. And any way we can connect with them, whether it's in person or via technology like this, is fantastic. So I love sharing stories with people, and I love hearing stories from other people. And I love telling stories as well, obviously. And that's just a great joy to keep doing that, regardless of the circumstances around us. So,
well, I know you've got babies, and they're very lucky to have a dad that is going to have a dad that's going to tell them so many great stories over their life, and it will just go on and on. And I just love that, knowing that they don't know how lucky they are yet, because they're babies.
I can't wait, because they're 10 months old, and so now they're still a little distracted every time I try to tell them a story. But soon they'll be listening to me keenly. So I can't wait.
Well, listen, Arnold, we so loved having your feature film with us, Talia, at New Filmmakers LA. I can't tell you how much our audience loved it as well. They thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was so great to have you part of the film festival. Cannot wait to see your next project and the world that you take us into. But congratulations on Talia. We love you from Los Angeles, and we can't wait to either say hello to you in Nairobi, or if you're in Los Angeles, but we'll make it happen when the world opens, okay?
Will happen. Definitely will happen. Thank you very much for having me, Danny, and the crew at NFMLA. Oh, you guys are family for life. That's for sure.
Definitely. Family is what we are. So yeah, no, thank you. Well, thank you very much, y'all. Much appreciated.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cool.